There was once a woman, and she baked 5 pies. But when she took them from the oven, they were overbaked. The crusts were too hard to eat. So she said to her daughter, "Daughter, take these pies, put them on the shelf, and leave them there until they get soft." But coming from East Anglia, she said, "Daughter, put these on the shelf until they come again," meaning the same thing. So the daughter thought to herself, well, if these pies are going to come again, I might as well eat them all. And she sat down there and then and ate every last one. Well, at supper time, her mother asked, "Daughter, go and bring me one of those pies. I'm sure they come again by now." The daughter went, she looked, and saw empty pie plates. She said, "I'm sorry, mother, but they've not come again." "Not one of them?" said the mother. "Not one of them." "Well, whether they've come again or not, bring me one for my supper." "But I can't, mother, if they haven't come again." "Of course you can. Bring me the best." "Best or worst, mother? I've eaten them all. You can't have one until it comes again." The mother was furious. She took her spinning wheel to the doorway, sat, and sang. "My daughter has eaten five pies today. My daughter has eaten 5 pies today." Now, coming down the road was the king, and he heard the song, but not the words. So he asked the woman, to sing it again. Now, she didn't want to let on what her daughter had done. She was ashamed. So she changed the words. She sang, "My daughter has spun five skeins today. My daughter has spun 5 skeins today." "Remarkable," said the king. "I've never heard of anyone who could do that. Now, I'm looking for a wife. Your daughter seems perfect. So this is what I'll do. For 11 months, she'll have all the food and all the clothes and all the friends she wants to have. But in the last month, she must spin for me 5 skeins every day, or I'll kill her." "All right," said the woman. "That sounds fine." She thought what a wonderful match it would make. The king probably would forget all about the skeins, or they'd figure out some way around it. And so the daughter was wed, and the king kept his word. For 11 months she had all the food and all the clothes and all the friends she could ever wish for. And she thought to herself as the months rolled by, it's strange that he's not mentioned anything about the skeins. Maybe he has forgotten all about them. But on the last day of the last month, the 11th, the king took her to a room she'd never seen before. And in it was a spinning wheel and a stool. And he said, "Wife, tomorrow I will bring you flax and food and lock the door, and you will spin for me 5 skeins by nightfall, or I'll kill you." And then he left to go about his business. Well, the young woman was terrified. She was such a useless girl. She'd never learned to spin in the first place. And there was nobody to help her. She sat in the kitchen, and oh, how she cried. And suddenly, there was a rap at the door, and she opened it, and there stood the strangest little black thing she'd ever seen, with a long black tail. And he asked, "What you crying for, And she said, "What business is it of yours?" "Never mind, just tell me why you're crying." "It won't do me any good if I do." "You don't know that," he said. And he spun his tail around. So she said, "Well, I suppose it won't do me any harm if it won't do me any good." So she told him all about the pies and the skeins and everything. And he said, "I'll take the flax in the morning, and I'll bring it back spun at night." "You will," said the girl. "And what do you want in payment?" Well, every night I'll give you 3 chances to guess my name. And if by the end of the month you haven't guessed it, well, you'll be mine. All mine." The girl thought, well, surely she'd think of a name by the end of the month. So she agreed, And oh, how that thing cackled with delight, and how that tail spun round and round. Well, the next day the king took her and put her in the room. He said, "All right, spin for me the 5 skeins or I'll cut off your head." And he locked her in the room. Well, as soon as it was gone, there was a rap at the window. And there was the little strange thing, and he took the flax, and he brought it back that evening, all spun, 5 skeins dangling on his arm. He sat on the ledge, and he asked, "Well, what's my name?" "Is it Bill?" she said. "No, it's not," he said. He spun his tail. "Is it Ned?" "No, it's not," he said. And he spun his tail. "Is it Rumpelstiltskin?" "No, it's not," he said. He spun it even harder, and he flew away. Well, when her husband came in, there were the 5 skeins ready for him. He said, "Well, my dear, I see I shan't have to kill you after all. Well, there'll be more food and flax for you tomorrow." And so it went on. Day after day, there was flax brought to her, and every day the imp would come and take it away, and all day long she tried to think of his name. And when he brought it back in the evening, she tried to guess, and every day he looked more malicious, and with every guess his tail spun faster and faster. On the second last day, he brought back the skeins, and he looked really, really nasty. He said, "Well, my dear, have you guessed it yet?" She said, "Is it, Solomon?" "No, it's not," he said. "Is it, Samuel?" "No, it's not," he said. "Is it Methuselah?" "No, it's not," he said. And he looked at her like fiery coal. And then he said, "You've got 1 day. 1 day, and then you're mine. All mine." And he left. Oh, she felt terrible. And suddenly she heard footsteps, and the door opened, and in came the king. And he said, "Oh, my goodness, you've done it again. I shan't have to kill you today, and it's most unlikely I'll have to do it tomorrow. So why don't we celebrate?" So he had a chair brought in for himself and food, and together they sat and ate. No sooner had he taken a mouthful than he started to laugh. "What is it?" asked his wife. "Well, my dear, I was out hunting today, and I came to a part of the woods I'd never been to before, and suddenly I heard a strange humming sound. So I dismounted, and I came upon a chalk pit, a white chalk pit, and I peeked over, and at the bottom I saw the strangest little imp working at a little spinning wheel, spinning faster than I've ever seen anyone spin, and his tail was spinning even faster, and he was singing the most unusual song. It was, "Nimmy, nimmy, not. My name is Tom Tit-Tot." Well, the girl almost jumped out of her skin, but she didn't say a word. Well, the next day the imp picked up the flax, and he brought it back that night, and he handed it to the girl, and he said, "Well, can you guess my name?" He sat right on the ledge. She said, "Is it Nicodemus?" "No, it's not," he said, and he stepped into the room. "Is it, Zebedee?" "No, it's not," he said, and he reached out towards her. "Think well, woman, think well. You have one more chance." And she stepped back 1 or 2 steps, and she looked at him, and then she laughed, pointing her finger. "Nimmy, nimmy, not. Your name's Tom Tit-Tot." And the imp gave an awful shriek, and he flew off into the dark, and the woman never saw him ever again.